Hi, I'm David Herzog. I am a journalism professor at Mizzou, and I'm based in Columbia. And we launched this site called openmissouri.org in March 2011 as a tool for connecting citizens to data that's stored offline by government agencies. Yeah, that offline, not online. Right now we have 250 data sets listed. So we canvassed state agencies and said, tell us about your data sets and give us details about their currency, how often you update them, what kind of format you have it in. And we have 20 state agencies listed. So we aim for the 20 top-level state departments in Missouri and tried to get them to divulge their information about what they were keeping offline. So, for instance, you can see for the Department of Conservation, we list their data. So out of the 20 that we listed, actually 10 agencies participated in what I would call a really robust manner. They gave us information about their data and cooperated with us, and others did not. So our message is, hey, Jeff City, we need more information here about the data sets that you're keeping. So Department of Administration, Department of Corrections, we want to know more because you really haven't told us all that much. We have 120 registered site users. So if you're a registered site user, you get to be able to click on a button that says generate a sunshine request, and it generates a sunshine request letter that gets you 80 to 90% of the way there to get your data. So if you're interested in doing hackathons and things like that and data projects, you need that data as your raw materials. Developed this at the Reynolds Journalism Institute, which is part of the Mizzou J School, and its focus is on funding innovation projects that help journalism democracy. So we have two threads here with the backstory. One is the U.S. transparency movement, and the other is the culture of sharing that's grown up on the internet. What's that? Okay. Yeah. All right, so with the transparency history, how many of you have seen data.gov or used data.gov? Okay, so data.gov was the Obama administration's attempt to push data out. Missouri has its own accountability portal and state data portals. NGOs have gotten in on creating data catalogs too. The Sunlight Foundation, which is one of the sponsors of today's event, launched something called the National Data Catalog, which is something that really inspired us early on. And they had they attempted to make one big data catalog for all of the United States and open source their software. At the same time, you have data sharing that's going on. So you have companies like Socrata, InfoChimps, GeoCommons, BuzzData, Junar that are all trying to build business models over getting people to share data. And oddly enough, that not only are people sharing data, they're also sharing their open records requests. So about 4 or 5 years ago, the Open Society Institute funded something called What Do They Know in the UK. The UK had just gotten a really good freedom of information law, so they wanted to really expedite the use of FOI there. Closer to home, muckrock.com in Boston is building a business around requesting, making FOI requests for you so you don't have to make those yourself. So heading into the project, we had a very big question. That was, how do we use simple, freely available technology to connect citizens to data? So we wanted to make this as simple as possible and as shareable as possible. So what we did is we built this in Rails, which is, for those of you who are not familiar with that, it's an open source framework that's built in Ruby. And then we used other open source or Web 2.0 type components. So these are good tools, and they're also pretty much free and cheap tools too. So we're trying to keep the bar to access really low. We've open sourced the project ourselves. So if you go onto GitHub, you can find our Open Missouri Data Catalog project. If you want to start an Open Kansas, go ahead, grab it and do that. We would love to see that. So our next steps is we want to add other cities, counties, and other types of governments because we feel that we've kind of tapped out at the state level. We're also doing more blogging on the site in terms of things that are going on in the data community here in Missouri. Also, we're looking at potential integration of using the state's data portal, data.mo.gov. You guys might not have heard of this. This is fairly new. The state has not even announced it yet, so it's just quietly up there, and they have maybe a little more than a dozen data sets up there right now. And they've actually are using the Socrata platform for this. So there are ways that you can help us with Open Missouri. One is you can follow us on Twitter at openmissouri.org. At Open Missouri. You can contribute to the code. So if you have Rails skills, Ruby skills, you can jump in and help us improve the product. And also you can tell us how we can serve you better too, because one of the things we're doing is we're trying to branch out from our primary audience, which is information professionals like journalists, and also to branch out to developers. Also, you can suggest data sets. You can say, okay, you guys don't have this on your site. I know about this, so you can tell us about it.